Alrighty. I guess we're live. Suppose I should probably tweet about that real quick. Give me just a moment. Open up this. There we go. Alrighty. Okay then. Now that's taken care of. Let me get all this done. Make sure I've got everything set up. Oh, whoa. Where's activity feed? How do I bring my chat up on this again? Oh boy, I don't remember how to do any of this. Anyway, let me see. The mic level's alright. Whatever. I guess I'll just get into it. And if someone pops in, then, well, shit, actually. There. No, where did it move my chat to? Because I kind of need to be able to see that. Now, why can I not see my chat anymore? What did I do? No, what did I do? More importantly, how do I undo it? Okay, here we go. Edit. Add my chat. There we go. There we go. Okay, now all this is working. Let's start this off right. The worst matchup in the game. So, this guy. This guy right here. This matchup is not fair. It, like, objectively, Tager doesn't have a real way of playing around the doll. Your best chance as the Tager is, like, you somehow have to kill Ada and then pray that you can kill Carl before she comes back. Because as long as she's alive, she'll body block any of your advancing moves. Ah, yes. Hello, Pokey Dude. Is my mic okay right now? I've been having issues with it. Anyway, I'm gonna be talking about Tager matchups. Alright, how about now? Alrighty, so ranting about Carl here. So the thing with this matchup is a lot of Tager's ways of advancing in general are things like sledge and 2D, as well as other like forward movement option attacks that all stop when they hit something. So this means as long as Carl has doll health, he can literally just simply put out a wall in front of him that Tager can't do anything about. And it's made worse by the fact Ada's got armor on quite a few attacks, so you might just like get hit with a combo starter into 4K into Carl offense for even trying to play the game. That being said, Carl does have like no health, so if you do somehow manage to get your hands on this little runt, you can probably kill him. But getting there is virtually impossible. Let's see. What's another matchup? I think this matchup has a lot of misconceptions. Here we go. Kagura, this character. So, the thing with Kagura against Tager, Kagura's most advantageous position to be in the game is when he gets his opponent cornered, because that's where, cause he does good damage anywhere on the screen, but man, when this guy gets you cornered, he starts busting out like 5k off of everything, kills you super fast, gets a lot of really fucked up mix-ups. The problem is Tager has some of the absolute best ways in the game of flipping the corner on the opponent. He's got at least 3 different incredibly consistently available ways of doing it. And all of his corner Oki is a hard knockdown, which Kagura cannot deal with because he has a flash kick. So he'll lose his only reversal option. And Tager's damage in the corner is only slightly lower than Kagura's. So that means that, like, Kagura wins neutral. I mean, Tager's got decent ways of calling some of his stuff out, but, like, he can't really threaten him. But also, Kagura's win condition against Tager is so dangerous for the Kagura to even be doing that despite all of that, you can still just get robbed completely out of nowhere because he just put you in the corner and you were in the Oki loop where you don't have access to your fucking reversals. And let's see, let me put something here. So, let's see. Where is he? Where is this guy? I see you there. That. This matchup, once Tager has magnetism, it's fine. It's like genuinely kind of even once he gets magnetized. But like, holy shit. Before magnetism, Asriel is a menace. Because it's so hard for Tager to contest space against him, because all of his buttons that contest like a mid-range are 10 frames slower than all of Asriel's. And Sledge, which is your normal call out to that kind of thing, gets you killed against the guy who has Hornet Bunker because he can cancel into it, guard point your Sledge, fatal counter you, get 5k and double weak point, and then you're just kind of eating shit for trying to do anything about it. But at the same time, it's like you're not just shit out of luck all the time, because for him to really do his scary shit, he has to go in your range. And once you get magnetism, even that situation is fine, because you have access to like 360B or even like 4D at some distances to call that out. But like, it's very rough before you get that magnetism. Also, it's fine because when he absorbs Spark Bolt, he still gets magnetized. Same shit as when he absorbs like Sonic Saber. Let's see. Here's one you might not see coming, actually. Where is she? This. Izayoi beats Tager. Like, I have no issue saying that. The problem is Izayoi has to manage her game plan so stupidly well against this character, because, right, once he gets Spark Bolt on the table and she is not in gain arts, Sonic Saber is off the table as a way of gaining them, because she will just lose the game for doing it immediately. You will eat 5k, get put into Tager Oki, and he has ways of OSing that DP to allow her to not even have access to RC. So unless she's like managing the stocks she gets immediately and her OD meter, she can just straight up not have the resources to win the game against Tager. It's similar to another matchup I'm going to get to, but it's like, because her game plan revolves around resources, a resource that she doesn't like always have access to, it matters so much when you fight Tager because he's got so much health. And if she runs out and then he hits her, I mean, it's just game done. And now let's see. The matchup I was talking about. Valkenheim. So this matchup, when Valk has Wolf Meter and Tager doesn't have Spark Bolt, that should be like here. The problem is Valk doesn't do enough damage, and Spark Bolt just shuts Wolf movement out so much because the hitbox on that thing is absurd. Valk's gotta crack you like 7 times, which, it's Valk, he can do it, but he doesn't have the resources to do it 7 times consecutively. He's probably gonna have to get in on you on like 3 separate occasions before he actually is able to win the game. Meanwhile, his defensive options are lacking, and that's not a good thing to have against this character, because he will just hit you, do like 4k, put you in some whack ass mix up, do another 4k, and then you're on guess for game. Really fun matchup, though. I love playing it. Here's another controversial one. I think this is even. It's so new. It's no secret CF Nu is not a good character. She does no damage. She doesn't really convert any of her zoning into anything super threatening. She's just kind of worse than all the other Murakumos. Because, like, Lambda converts her zoning into brush down that can be kind of annoying to deal with. Moo just has good everything and like never commits to anything when she has steins. But Nu does no damage. Nu doesn't really have that scary of offense once it's going. Nu has worse defensive options than the other two Murakumos. And she has like the worst damage out of all of them. She has to hit Tager like 5 or 6 times in neutral, and he only has to hit her once. So even though she like, yeah, if neutral alone, yeah, that'd be like here. But the risk reward is one of the most skewed of any matchup in the game, so it's just like, it's pretty even. Because she can just lose for not being perfect for a whole like 70 seconds, because that's what's going to take to kill Tager as that character. Oof. Yeah, Arakune. This guy. This is a case of a character who's designed around you having a certain amount of mobility to fight him. Fighting a character who doesn't have that mobility. It's rough, but at the same time, like, similarly to other matchups, Tager can just win sometimes. But where it's really bad is like, this guy sits at the top of the screen in a space that until Tager magnetizes him, Tager has no way of contesting him or stopping him from sitting there while he's doing like spiders, other things to get curse going. Tager does have some of the best like options against curse. Like obviously it's not like Growler or Hakumen's everything. But having a frame 1 projectile invincible option does give you a way to potentially just like bullshit your way out of a situation sometimes. Which can mean a lot against this thing. So it's like, it's bad, but you can still win it. It's just, you're gonna have to work harder than your opponent. That's for sure. Let's see. This one, honestly, it's here. I've played this matchup a lot, and while it's like historically, oh no, Hazama just like kills Tager, oh no, it's not that bad. Because the thing is, for Hazama to do his movement, he has to commit to something, right? Which leaves Tager a lot of opportunities to potentially just like Spark Bolt, and if Hazama doesn't want to play like in a range where that's a problem, or well, if Hazama doesn't want to play like in a range that's near Tager before then, Tager can just charge that up really fast. Like a lot of Hazama players will back off immediately when fighting you, and it's like, he does that, and then you charge a Spark Bolt. Next thing you know, you get it in like 7 or 8 seconds instead of getting it in 17. You can guess on him like 3 or 4 times with it in a game. They're not careful, and like these two, his defensive options aren't great. right? He has no meterless reversal other than OD and, Exceed Excel. So it's like, once you get in on him, once you get that game plan going, he can crumble really quickly when fighting Tager. And he kind of has to go in at you at some point. He cannot stay out forever. You just have to be really patient, or you will just get blown up. It's another one I think is fine, actually. Naoto's 2D is like really good at fighting Tager, but that's the only move he has that's really good at fighting Tager. Because, like, all of his other stuff requires him to go in. I see the bot. Let me, Oh boy, where's my options? Quick actions. How do I do this? I've never actually had to. How do I do this? Mod. Nope. How do I do this? Oh boy. I don't actually know how to ban this thing. Very interesting. Let me see. How do I do this? It's not really seeing anything. That's wait a second. Why did my chat disappear? Okay. Well, I can't figure out how to deal with that right now. So let's just go on to the next. All right, what I was talking about, Naoto. Naoto, this man has to go in. Like his entire pressure. How do I do that? Let me see. There we go. You have been modded now. You have been given the sword. Alright. Okay. Naoto, like I was saying, he just has to go in. Like, he's got like 6B, and it is hard to call out his stagger pressure, even with all of Tager's anti-stagger tools. It is still hard to call his garbage out, because you can just like guess wrong and then eat 5k into some whack-ass garbage. But he's got to go in, he's got to fight near range, which means you are able to rob him at any point. You just have to be way more careful about like jumping against him than against like anyone else, because Tager's jump angles make Phantom Pain like just pure evil in the matchup, because you don't have access to a double jump or air dash to make that shit whiff. So it's a patient matchup. You have to let him start his game plan first. Just unfortunate, but you're really good at fighting that game plan, which is a lot of Tager's matchups, where it's like you're gonna have to let them start what they want and then try and reverse the situation on them. It's just like the characters who have the most ridiculous game plans that you just kind of get screwed by. Let's see. Who's next? Bad. That matchup is bad. There's not a lot to say about it. It's like a lesser version of Carl, because Relius can't keep what's her name out in front of you in the same way that Carl can just keep Ada out. But you still have to deal with Relius' offense. He still has better buttons than you. He still has better mobility than you. And he can be very safe against your potentially strong defensive options. So it's rough, but it's not like, this character's on the screen, I'm about to die kind of bad. Also, his twirl is actually really good against Tager, which is kind of unfortunate. Let's see. Who else? That. It's same thing as these two. Well, no, it's this guy. It's like, yeah, Ragna wins neutral. Ragna can't do anything threatening to Tager without getting into the range where he might just die. So it's like, if the Ragna player gets you as a player and understands how to fight your character, it can be really rough, because, oh boy, or actually no, that might be here. Yeah, actually. So once you have magnetism, he can't just do like 2C pressure on you, because you can 360 him, and if he tries to like 5B, 5C, or anything else after that, he actually moves forward and he'll get scooped. And at that point, like, game is done. He just loses. But it's hard to get that magnetism on him in the first place. But it's fine overall, I think. Lychee. This is a bad matchup. Lychee does not ever have to commit. Just like in general, she never needs to commit to anything, which is bad for Tager. Tager needs his opponent to have to commit. Either have to commit or like have some other issues like Valk's resource management or news, like everything. So, but the thing is, Lychee has neither of those. She doesn't have to commit, and she doesn't really have issues as a character. It's just her win condition, and the game plan she's going to be doing isn't going to just like completely murder you in the same way that these two are. Not that it's not insanely good, but it's like, if it comes down to having to hold Lychee's offense and getting cursed, I'm taking Lychee's offense every time. Let's see though. Next. This is a bad matchup. Hakumen, even though Tager wins once he gets going, Hakumen never has to commit against Tager. His 4C alone, like, almost completely beats the character by itself. It's so hard to contest anything this character does ever as Tager because he just covers bigger spaces faster. And if you really want to start brawling, he might just catch you on the way in and bust out 8k, and then you're still not in on him. Like, once you get in, yeah, you have the options to be a problem for his defensive duels. Because, yeah, he can't counter your grabs, but it's like getting to that situation is so hard to do. It is so hard to reach that point. But, like, 3C, all of his stuff you have to deal with on, like, stupidly hard reads that leave you open to him getting damage on you. Like, 3C, yeah, you can stomp that, and you might get a counter hit confirm out of it, and that might go into, like, 4k. But also Hakumen's 3C is like, what, 9-10 frames? You have to do that, like, as soon as he does it, or else you just lose. You get counter hit anyway, and then he counter hits you into 4.5k. The difference being you have to commit hoping he does something. Like, if he does something and you don't do something, he wins. If you do something and he doesn't do something, he still wins. So it's like he just kind of wins most neutral interactions by virtue of his buttons being bigger and faster. And then his damage is just as crazy as yours to boot. So it's like, oof. Let's see, speaking of crazy damage. Maybe. I think this is actually, if it's might be like slightly Susan favored, but I think it's actually not that bad. Because it's the same principle as this, like this, where it's like, yeah, he's got some tools that are good at fighting Tager, but he has to get in Tager's range. And as big as his damage is, Tager's isn't that much lower, and their health difference makes it where once these two get near each other, someone is gonna die. Someone is about to get run over. It is inescapable every time. Once the Susan goes near the Tager, that game is going to be done in the next 25 seconds. Because his staggered pressure doesn't work that well against Tager. But, like, that's not really the range he wants to be at, but, like, sometimes he does not have a choice, and he will just be there, and then it's like, well, someone's gonna die. You either need to be like, he has to disengage a lot, which isn't good for Susan, and it's not good when you're fighting Tager either. The thing is, he moves forward so much on everything. He doesn't get a choice on how close he is. Once he starts pressure, he might just end up right next to you anyway. And that's really scary, so he has to do a lot of stuff like using jump cancels to just move away. That's not good because that means Tager's building Spark Bolt, which gives him an edge in neutral because it's the best projectile in the entire game by a lot. So I think it's fairly even. You might say that neutral gives Susan a little bit of an edge, but like, I think if the Tager's patient enough, that doesn't really matter that much. Let's see. This. So this is like the new matchup, except she wins neutral way harder. Because new still has to deal with Sledge, and new has to deal with Spark Bolt and all that. You cannot hit this character if she does not want you to. you just can't do it as Tager. You can't chase her anywhere. She will be all over the screen, and you just kind of gotta hold that, homie. You just gotta deal with it. Thankfully, her damage isn't great. It's not as bad as a lot of people make it out to be, but it's still not good either. So she's got to be right and hit you a lot of times, and you can just fold her if you get her once, but it's getting there is rough, real rough. Let's see. Bang. You know what? Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, that's a slot machine. This matchup is cursed. This is the most like no matchup in the game. I would never want to see this in a tournament if I was the one playing in it. Now, if I was watching a set of this in a tournament, I'm all for it. This matchup is a slot machine. The amount of strangely, incredibly specific tools these characters have to call each other out on so many different things is insane. If they both play like normal people, you would say it's probably Bang favor. Bang definitely controls neutral well and does a lot of stuff that's kind of hard for Tager to answer. But also, Bang can't play keep away. Like, his projectiles, he can straight up run out of those. He's got to go in, and even though he has tools to kind of safely do it against Tager, it's still going in on Tager, and that's really risky. And then a lot of his defensive stuff can work, but Tager has options to call out his defensive options when they do work. Right? You can do, like, depending on situations, like, say, if he tries to guard point your Spark Bolt teleport behind you, you can do like 2-on-4D, guard point what he came in with, and then he doesn't get a cancel because it counts as it being on block and you can punish him for it. And it's genuinely some of the most corny, stupid garbage I've ever seen in a fighting game, but it's amazing. This is the matchup of all time. That's all there really is to say about it. Bad. There we go. Amane. This character it's like custom built to be able to fight Tager really well, but the problem is Amane is just not as strong as these two. But like, I would say all of these three right here are custom built to fight Tager. The difference is win condition is way more accessible. And these both like every bit as threatening as his win condition. You just have to deal with his way less as Tager. But lots of mobility, lots of huge range normals. Huge range normals that cancel into mobility specials. It's a rough time. Guard a stance with projectile guard point just in case you think you can Spark Bolt. It's not fun. But you're not really taking much damage until Amane's in like level 3. It'll take a while, but you can still call them out and get something good going and win the game. Definitely just fine. You're not like sinking rapidly. Here, let's see. I don't even know where I'd put this because I kind of want to put it here, but it's like I can't really say that this matchup is just as fine as these, but I can't say it's as bad as these either. Let me see here. Let me add a row above. I guess. There we go. This Moo does a lot of damage. Moo controls neutral very well. The thing is, though, for Moo to do a lot of that Stein stuff, they have to set Steins up. And doing that in neutral involves a lot of commit time, gives you a lot of time to charge your Spark Bolt, and gives you a lot of points to potentially call out with Spark Bolt. That being said, Moo does a lot of damage. Moo's got some really scary mix-ups, and Moo's pressure is also just insane. The amount of freedom that character has to do stuff is quite crazy. It's just Moo kind of has to give Tager a chance to play the game at quite a few points, which is a very scary thing for any character. That being said, yeah, it's still really hard for Tager to do things, but I think you can definitely get in and just win sometimes. Even as good as that DP is, Tager can still, just call it out one time, like wedge through it. They won't try it again. And she's only got 10k health, so you can blow her up. Or she's low health in some way. I don't know if it's 10k or 10.5. Let's see. I actually think this is the worst Murakumo matchup for Tager. Swords have the same thing as Nu's swords, where they can eat Spark Bolt sometimes. The difference is Lambda. Lambda does double the damage Nu does. Lambda also has way better ways of calling out Sledge than Nu. Because of the way her act parser works, she can just go in, counter hit you with the low into 4k anywhere on the screen, and then that converts you right back into neutral as a character who doesn't really have to play against Spark Bolt as well as other characters do. That being said, Tager can call her stuff out. So realistically, I think these matchups here are all like between 6.4 and like 6.5, 3.5. They're not like unplayable, but you be working really hard. But I think this is on the lower end of that. Let's see. This is not good. It's not terrible, but it is not good. This guy is corny. And he's corny in the most annoying way possible, which is just he's good at everything. There is no flaw in this character right here. He does it all. And his 5C and JC do it all against Tager. You cannot do things against him because he just has a big stop sign that he never has to commit to anything from. Actually so rough to fight because of the way he controls the pace, because Tager's good at playing to other character paces, but the problem is he needs them to put them in a situation where he can take control of the pace. Jin never has to let you do that. This character is a pace machine. He is built around it. He controls the game and the way the game is going to play better than almost every other character in the game. It's honestly kind of terrifying. That being said, none of his tools are like specifically like super well good crafted for fighting Tager specifically in the way these characters are. So it's rough, but like you can definitely still do it just fine. Continuing not good. This is the same thing as Jin, where it's just a pace control monster. She's got really good buttons for walling you out. She's really good at dictating the pace of the game, not allowing you to play. Not allowing you to play your game. You can play the game, but you have to play the game S lets you play. You can't be out here trying to play your game, which is not good for Tager. He has to play his game to win. And he's not good at enforcing it himself. He needs his opponent to give him space to let him. give him like some breathing. And she just doesn't have to do that. These two are very similar in how they're going to beat Tager. Let's see. Yes, even. This matchup is even. Terami players will tell you they beat Tager. Tager players will tell you they beat Terami. This matchup is even. Terami explodes when Tager gets him. He cannot fight. He can't wall Tager out because his buttons are not big enough to do that. But he has a lot of stuff that specifically interacts with grabs very favorably. So he can really explode Tager sometimes. As well as his access to defensive options. Well, his access to meter, and Tager's like forced to hold a lot of stuff because his 5-frame 5A hits Tager crouching. So his pressure is like really, really solid against Tager. Like more so than other characters, even though Tager has his command grab. You can just, micro dash 5A then 5B, and it's like, damn, that is hard to deal with. And if you like try and start instant blockbustering him, he can do like a delayed cancel into 5C. He goes airborne, gets counter hit 5C depending on how much meter he has and where you're at. You can eat 5-6k for that, like anywhere from like 4 to 6k for that. Then he goes into his Oki. Probably came out of that combo meter positive by like 20 or so. And then you're holding some other garbage. But he has to fight in your range. He has to give you opportunities to call him out. He needs meter to have access to defensive options. He can really get blown up when fighting Tager, but a lot of his problems are just way, way less noticeable when he's fighting Tager. Definitely a fun matchup. I think it's even. And I understand why both sides say they win it. Let's see. Who's next? All right. There. This matchup goes to whoever's the stupider player, by the way. Whoever turns their brain off harder wins. Tager versus Tager is cursed in every way imaginable because his tools are so good at fighting his tools that it's unreal. It's one of the stupidest mirror matches in any fighting game ever. Definitely, you're in for an experience when you pick it. There we go. This matchup is Tager's one winning matchup. It's always been. Though the reason it is in this game is actually a little different. Because Noelle does not have the projectile property moves in this game. The problem being, she still has to like leave herself open to a lot of Tager's game plan to do anything. And she's not exactly oozing with projectile invincibility. Or not projectile, throw invuln in her stuff. So she just sort of has to leave herself open to your game plan to fight you. Her damage is good. A lot of her stuff is fine. This character is better than people give her credit for. But specifically, the way she has to play does not fight Tager well at all. Definitely not as bad for her as it has been in past games, but I think Tager still wins, like free. Let's see. Who's next? Oof. This matchup is oof. Well, no, as much as I want to put it here, I kind of feel like it actually goes here. So, Mai's interesting. And I mean interesting in the worst way possible. Like, her 5D against Tager. So, Sledge, for those of you who don't know, Sledge is not projectile invincible, it's projectile guard point. The problem is when she does her fully charged unblockable spear, it goes through Sledge and its guard point because it's not invincible. See, you can't Sledge full charge spear, and she's immune to magnetism when she's charging. Which means like super jump, double jump, spear is really hard for Tager to deal with. But outside of that and her backflip, most of what she does is not that great at fighting Tager. And I think he does have answers to that. Because I think if he moves into a space she can't hit on the initial throw, and then backdashes if he sees her. And backdashes on the timing so that if she does do the second part, it'll whiff. That's very good. He can do that. He can like 2D underneath if he sees her trying to get in that position. And then backdash, and then she'll whiff the spear and come down directly on top of him, which gives him a free punish. So he has ways of calling it out. Now, obviously, that's not something you can do on reaction, and it's not like a super consistent option you'll just always have, but it is an option. And it does give you an answer to something like that. The problem is backflip. That, I think, is the biggest issue. I think if it was not for backflip, I'd put this matchup here. The thing is, backflip is frame one foot and frame one throw invuln. She can get out of so many of his mix-ups and so much of his offense by just trying to backflip out of everything. Because he doesn't have the mobility to chase it. Most of his mids and body attribute moves are slow, right? Because like between 5A, right, there's his fastest body attribute move. That's 7 frames. That's pretty good. It's a really good button, especially for how big it is. Next body attribute move he has in terms of speed is going to be 4D, and that's like frame 13, I think. And it's not very big. It's actually, if she's not magnetized, it's shorter range than 5A. And then after that is 5C, which is frame 15. He's kind of slow at covering that range with body attribute moves. Because, right, normally he meaties you and he does stuff like 2B and 5B. That's not really on the table against this character. So she can just deal with his offense way better than like anyone else. So she's here for a reason nobody else in the game is, which is Tager's offense fundamentally can't work against her. No one else in the game can do that, but at the same time, he's really good at dealing with her offense and potentially reversing the game on that. So I think it's here just because she's got like a couple things that are really rough for Tager in really unique ways. Let's see who's next. So this matchup, yeah, Izanami just has like the win condition of all time, and Tager doesn't have a way of denying her it. But it's not as bad as like Carl, where you just don't have an out. But you're definitely in for an experience. You could maybe argue it goes here as well, actually. Because it's like it's tied to a resource, right? She gets Ribcage going. Well, actually, no, Ribcage isn't that bad of a thing against him as much as his Levitate and Mode, allowing her to just really, really not have to interact with Tager's defensive tools. That being said, Magnatech Wheel, if Tager can survive long enough to get 100 meter, this matchup changes a lot. Because Magnatech Wheel will beat her in so many situations. So, right, if she has mode active, Magnatech wheel, she can't block. That thing has magnetism. Even if she tries to leave the situation, she'll just get pulled in and hit. If she tries to rib cage, that hits so many times in such a short period of time while she's locked in the guard point of her first attack, she will lose her entire rib cage. So it's like he doesn't have to deal with some of that super well, but the problem is he has to survive till he gets 100 meter. And doing that against this character is kinda rough. Without giving up such a big health lead that like you're probably gonna lose the game anyways. Let's see this matchup. I think this is even. Bullet has to fight ear range. And Bullet is really explosive in that range, and her 2B is really hard for Tager to fight. But the risk reward is super similar in this matchup. Tager does have good tools for calling out her stuff. Like, you could argue it's a slot machine, honestly. Like, just one of them, someone's about to explode. But I don't think it's as corny as these, so we're just going to put it in even. Both characters have really strong tools for fighting the tools the other character has. And both can definitely be a problem for the other one, because she's got to fight him at his range, he's got to fight her at hers. And they're both super volatile, explosive characters. So I think that's fine. Celica, I don't know. I fought Celica once. And that was in a room, and I fought that player 2 times. I don't even know what she does, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know how to rank this matchup, so I'm just not gonna try. Tsubaki. I think this is even. Tager has tools for fighting Tsubaki, and she has a lot of tools for fighting him. Right, she has really safe stuff, but it's the same kind of issue, and a lot of it's like way better against Tager, but it's the same kind of issue. It's Terami. She has to fight him up close. Right, same issue as these characters. She's got to fight him in his range. And she's not like as threatening in that range as like these characters, right? She gets away with a lot of stuff. She can press buttons mad good. Being able to press buttons mad good doesn't mean a lot against Tager up close. Right? It's like that's not even what makes like Asriel good against him. It's that you have to be able to control a mid-range really well and be able to enforce your game plan. That being said, this matchup can be very volatile if the Tsubaki player wants it to be, because she can go back and start charging, but that gives Tager Spark Bolt, because he'll start charging too. And that's a playing with fire situation, because yeah, she gets access to all this really strong stuff to fight the strongest projectile in the game, where she can just lose sometimes. I think it's even. You could maybe say that it's slightly losing for Tager, but I think it's even enough that I'm not going to put it up here. Let's see. This. Rachel Alucard. How I hate this character's gameplay design. She does not have to interact with Tager, and I don't mean that in the way I mean it with like Amane. Amane still has to press things and leave himself open at times. Rachel never has to interact with Tager. She can literally just go fly around the screen throwing stuff, block anytime she's on the ground to recharge wind while Tager's trying to deal with all the stuff she's thrown out, and then leave again. This matchup is hell. The only saving grace is that Rachel players don't have it in them to do that for a whole 99 seconds. They will go in at some point and they will give you a chance to blow them up. But realistically, this character never has to let you interact. Definitely not a fun matchup. She can't do her normal run-in stuff, but it's like it doesn't matter because she doesn't have to. Let's see, this matchup. This is a bad matchup. Kokanoe's got a lot of stuff that puts her airborne. She has a lot of really long-range tools to control that mid-range. Her projectile stuff, like, sure, it's there, but it's all so delayed and low commitment stuff for, like, set play purposes and frame advantage. Sledge isn't helping you against that because you can just press buttons anyway at the same time and you just gotta deal with it. She never has to leave herself open to let you take the pace of the game away from her once she has it, and she's really good at establishing it. You're not like as just absolutely screwed game plan wise as you are against these three, but it is a rough time. It's real rough. Makoto Nanaya. I don't have enough experience fighting this character. I feel like it would probably be here or here, but I don't know enough to know for sure. She's kind of in that same boat as like Naoto and Terumi and Susan, where it's like, and Tsubaki, where it's just like she's got to fight at Tager's range. But what that means for the matchup, whether it's so good, right, whether stuff is like Naoto's, where it's just so threatening and hard for Tager to deal with that it's kind of losing, or whether it's even, I don't know. So I'm just going to put it here. But it's definitely not here or here, because she doesn't have the tools to enforce a pace that's not good for Tager. Hibiki? I think this is even. I think this matchup is even. You could maybe argue it here, but I'm absolutely not putting it there. I think this is even. I've played against a good number of Hibiki players. He's got to leave himself open to Tager. So much of what he does can just get blown up. Like, the thing with Hibiki, he doesn't have like huge normals other than JC, but that's not huge in a way that's super helpful for fighting Tager. His projectiles with his drive are, I mean, they're good. The problem is if he chooses to go in, well, he just chose to go in against Tager. He can die for that really quickly. It's not that like his tools are bad. I mean, Hibiki's the kind of character, he's not gonna beat characters badly when he does, but he's also not gonna lose to many. And it's the same kind of thing with Tager. He just, nothing he does is really like super scary for Tager to have to fight him. So it's not bad at all. I think that's pretty even because he's got to deal with Tager's game plan, and that's not a situation you want to be as a character. 9. This is the only other character I'd put here. I think these 4 are just way worse than anyone else. 9's weakness in this game is the same as Arakune's. It's her mobility. The issue being she's fighting a character who has worse mobility issues than her. So she just kind of gets to do whatever she wants. And Tager does not have ways of contesting her or dealing with what she's doing. You've just gotta hold it a lot of times. Your only hope is that the 9-player autopilot's Coonside all the time, because you have the best answer to that in the game. Because if you A sledge through it, you will counter hit her every single time, and then you get a full confirm. Issue being, she just doesn't have to do that. Like, she just doesn't need to do Coonside against you. So, the thing with Tager is really, really, really good once you get in his range, right? You're saying you want to know how to deal with him. He's like really, really good once you're in his range. The problem is he can't really enforce that range to happen in the game. So what you would want to do, Noelle is still like, I think Tager beats her. But what you have to do is you need to use your superior mobility and faster buttons to basically just try to stay in positions where he has to guess what you're going to do, whether you're going to come in or not. And you don't want to stay in very long, because the close, like at close range, he just has some of the best call out tools in the game, and his game plan just starts, and that's rough, and you don't want to be there. So just, you gotta play using faster buttons and better mobility. Sort of play outside of the range of like his 5C or 5D in neutral. Make him guess when you're gonna do things, right? If he throws out 5D, whiff punish it. You know, if he doesn't, if he's trying to play like super patient and like stay down, stay not doing anything, run in at him and start lowing him. You have to really recognize what he's gonna do, because trying to fight him like you would fight another character as Noelle just doesn't really work, because going in is objectively the wrong move for fighting this character. But let's see. I think. Oh, right, and I guess I should also add that that does work well for Noelle, because she has like one of the fastest run speeds in the game. But anyway, let's see. Next, Jubei. This is another I don't know. I fought one Jubei player ever, and I've only fought them once. I don't know what this character, like how stuff works against Tager, but I actually think it's probably here. Like, I feel like that's probably where it ended up, because I know he has a lot of really big lows, he's got good mobility, and he stays in the air a lot. But also, his issues, like always crouching, he's still kind of near, he still has to get near you. Rising Justice is not good Oki. Like, I think the stuff he has would give him an edge over Tager, but I definitely think he'd be open to just getting whacked sometimes. Platinum. I think this matchup is fine. She has really good tools for just keeping Tager out, stuffing him, and then using, like, depending on the items she has, especially that Cat Hammer is really rough. But her defense isn't super good. Like, well, I say it's not super good. Like, she doesn't have both a counter and a reversal, but we're not going to worry about that. It's not super great for fighting Tager. She has to stay in a mid-range, and it's like not as far back as like any of these characters are, or as threatening from that distance. Right, if I get hit with Cat Hammer at half screen, I get hit with Cat Hammer at half screen. It is what it is. You know, whereas like if I'm fighting Kokanoe, I get hit by something at half screen and probably taking 3k at minimum, 3 to 4k, going into some stupid Oki, and then dying. Whereas that, I'm just not taking that much. So I don't think this matchup is bad. It's definitely not like, oh yeah, it's easy, but it's not bad. It's definitely not bad. Not that bad. I would be fine playing in it anytime. But yeah, I think this is pretty accurate to what I think when I'm not upset. Because yeah, I have made a few of these when I'm upset before, and it usually turns out a little different looking. But I think this is about right. Because yeah, I do think this is the worst matchup in the game. Absolutely. I don't think there's anything even close to it, actually, because I don't think these are anywhere near as bad. Because there will come a point when these characters fight Tager. At some point, something's gonna have to happen. Oh, oh yeah, no, I tried it. So, like I was saying, Noelle's really fast. Tager's really slow. So the way you have to fight Tager is by abusing that difference. Because he can't, like, you have to be in his range, but you're the one who controls when you're in that range. The problem being Noelle is a character who thrives on staying in, and you can't do that against Tager, so you gotta go in, check him with something, see if you got him. If you didn't, disengage as soon as possible. Issue being, obviously, that's not what Noelle's kit's designed for, but it's definitely something you can do, and it's what you have to do when you're fighting Tager. I mean, that's the way it is for a lot of characters, right? Like, Susan's got to disengage, difference being, well, Susan's offense, like his damage and the risk reward is way, way scarier. But yeah, you're just gonna have to. It might be a little rough, but you have to play it slow. You can't be out here trying to overextend your offense or try and force him to play your game, because Tager plays your game better than you do. But yeah, no, I think this is good. I could actually even argue this in this spot, because Kagura. I mean, this matchup is scary, but like that neutral is scary, and this game in the mid screen is scary. Once he gets magnetism, though, he does get way better options to call out Kagura's stuff. And like I said before, Tager's offense against Kagura is messed up. It's super messed up. Like, he does not have the tools to fight Tager's offense as much as he wins neutral, and as scary as it is when he gets you cornered. It's honestly scarier when Tager gets him cornered than it is the other way around. It's that bad, but I think this is fine. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna save this, and yeah, I think that should be it. Thank you for coming out. I guess next time I will probably stream me playing some CF at some point soon. Maybe like my next day off or something. But yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for coming out. See you next time.